Well, good morning and welcome to Haynes Inman. I'm Kevin Carr, the principal. Today, in our 15th year, we gather to celebrate as Mo Green, our newly elected state superintendent, takes the oath of office in our beautiful Thurman Haynes Gymnasium. School and school district, I'm truly honored to host this event. Please join me in welcoming our many elected officials and state leaders who've chosen to join us here this morning, and also that great contingent of folks from Haynes that are here too. Before we begin today's ceremony, I have some thoughts to share. First, Mo, I want you to know that twice in the last few months, I've had 2 Wednesday mornings that were very difficult to get up out of bed. Now today is one following last night's New Year's celebration, and the other in November after the national election results. But each time, you were the reason I did get up. You reminded us that we still have work to do, and thanks for the hope that you give to so many. Under your leadership, Haynes Inman opened as a school in 2010 for students with significant disabilities. We started with 89 students ranging in age from 3 to 22, and today we're pushing 150 with families moving to Guilford County so that their child can attend our school. For the second time, we're very proud to be recognized as a National School of Character, one of only 73 nationwide and the only one in the state of North Carolina this year. Well, we know you're driven by the conviction that every child deserves the opportunity to succeed. The opening of our school allowed even our most fragile children access to high-quality care and teaching. And the character traits that we see in our students, hope, patience, dignity, happiness, strength, perseverance, respect, and compassion, reminds us that each of our students comes to us just as they should, perfect. More importantly, we all have gifts and talents that need to be shared and appreciated. At Haynes Inman, we learn from you the importance of relationships and the need for all students to have trusted, caring adults in their lives. Under your leadership, Guilford County Schools showed gains in many areas, including academic achievement, increases in graduation rates, character development, and service learning. In fact, GCS was named a National District of Character in 2012. And while our district received many accolades with you in charge, what most of us remember is how people, students, staff, and families were treated. You brought people together, seeing the good in each of us. We appreciated your kindness, patience, and integrity as you set clear direction for us to follow. During difficult times, you stood tall, often shouldering the blame even when you didn't need to do so. And in good times, you were quick to give credit to others. Thank you. Our state is fortunate to have you leading our schools. Now, while I am honored to welcome you here today, and most of the Carr family is here in person, I'm positive that my wife and your confidant and good friend Nora would have been your first choice. Well, I'm sure she's here today. She's here today in spirit, will stay with you, and I know she's very proud of you, just as the rest of us are. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It was nearly 20 years ago, Mo, believe it or not, that we first made acquaintance, and you as the superintendent, myself on the Board of Education. I see our board chair at the time, Alan Duncan, is here. I want to also acknowledge all the other educators who are here, and thank you all for your service, Dr. Contreras and others who are here. And as I look back now on the time that we first met, and now serving in the State House, I recognize that those were the good days. Here in Guilford County, being in Raleigh, being minority part is a little rough right now, but we'll make our way through. I cannot say how proud I am of you and how proud I am to know you and how much I look up to you as a person, as a leader, and certainly your accomplishments have earned you this place in the trust of the North Carolina voters and to lead our public education system. In honor of the fact that there are others here of other faiths, I want to ask that we first pause for a moment of reflection, and then I will lead a prayer of my faith, the Christian faith. But in respect and acknowledgement of all other faiths, please just pause for a moment of reflection. Thank you. Perfect God, our Father, Lord and Majesty of the universe, we gather here today for the inauguration of your servant, Maurice Green, into the most important office of Superintendent of Public Instruction of this great state. As we gather, we thank you and acknowledge your presence and submissively invite your divine intervention into our undertaking today. Lord, if our lives could be viewed as a building under construction, the greatest part, the most important part, would be the foundation that is laid through education. For it is education that allows us to build productive and successful lives as citizens of this world. We stand here today under your direction to install a man, a good man, a competent man, a caring man, to play a lead part in making sure that a firm foundation can be laid for each of the hundreds of thousands of students enrolled in North Carolina schools. We ask you, great God, to bestow upon him gifts and attributes that will help him to successfully carry out this most important work. On this historic day, as he takes the helm of what our ancestors would call a big job, we pray your infinite wisdom and sustaining power upon Maurice Green. Grant him a heart of appreciation and a voice unashamed to say thank you to the men and women who give of themselves to make sure that children are educated, transported, fed, and nurtured in clean, safe, and healthy environments. Lord, give him an amplified voice that he may shout from the rooftops the successes and good things that are happening in schools in every county across this beautiful state, from Murphy to Manteo. Lord, block his ears and tunnel his vision, that he may not be dissuaded from doing the right things by the critics who criticize, not for constructive reasons, but simply because they can. Remind him, Lord, that when he does this work well, firm foundations will be laid and generations will be changed. For with this long-lasting work, Maurice Green will plant trees under whose shade he will never sit. And Lord, on the rough days, and there will be rough days, provide him with the wherewithal to remember to draw his strength from his connection to you. Bless his family, O Lord, as they lend him once again to public service. Grant them the understanding that they need as they too embark on this awesome and intimidating journey in support of their loved one. Strengthen the ties that bind them together and make their home a haven and sanctuary from the often poisonous politics of the times in which we live. Gracious God, as we stand today, we pray for all the public servants of this great state, that we may ever remember that you have chosen us to serve and not to be served. Thank you for the privilege of witnessing history today. Thank you for the beauty of today. Thank you for the place where we gather today. And thank you for being our great God. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. To the leadership of Mo Green, that so many of our leaders in the education field are here and want to be here today, including our past superintendents and other people from around the state so heavily involved in education. We are blessed to have each and every one of you here, and we are particularly grateful to all of you for all of the work that you have done on behalf of our children. We cannot thank you enough. And I thank all the educators in the room for all that you have done and what you continue to do. Mo brings some unique attributes to this job that he's honed over a lifetime. Many of you know his life story, but just to fill in the gaps quickly. Mo graduated from Duke Undergraduate School, where he met his wonderful wife, Stephanie, who's the real star of the show. We'll save that for a different ceremony. He then graduated from Duke Law School, and he's encountered over the way a number of people that he would consider his mentors. And one of the first ones, maybe the first one, was he clerked for Judge in Carlton Tilley, often called Woody, by those who know him well. Judge Tilley is a mentor for Mo, and he has long said that. And he has long said what an influence he had on his life. After he concluded his clerkships, he became a partner in what is now one of the largest law firms in this country. He excelled in law practice. He was excellent at it in all respects. Who's surprised? After that, he left the law firm for a unique opportunity in public service. He went to Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools, became first their chief legal officer, and ultimately the deputy superintendent of schools. There he ran in what was the largest school system in the state at that time. He headed up management of the operations of that school system. He knows how to manage school systems. He learned from the bottom to the top. He knows how to do it. Then he became superintendent of schools in Guilford County. We were blessed. He gave tremendous leadership. He did it with caring and with deep thought. There's an old saying in the education world that the students don't care what you know, they know that you care. And in this county, people knew the superintendent cared. And that makes all the difference. Makes all the difference. Mo had a tremendous impact here. One of the many things that he did was oversee the building of this building and the operation of the school. Kevin didn't say this, but during those 15 years, he's been the only principal in this school. And Kevin, although you thought Nora wasn't here, she was with you. And we are all bound in this county and in this state to serve our students in the best possible way. And that is the driving mantra for Mo Green. And it has been throughout his career in education. Now, after superintendent of schools in Guilford County, Mo became the executive director of the Z. Smith Reynolds Foundation, where he did an excellent job. For any of those who think that that meant he left education, that's not right. The Smith Reynolds Foundation is heavily involved in education around our state, statewide, and Mo Green was very much involved in initiatives around the state, as was the foundation. So he has a perspective from large districts to rural districts, where Z. Smith Reynolds does a lot of its work, to how to manage large operations in education. And managing a large operation in education is not the same thing as managing a large business operation. They have similarities, but there are distinct differences. Your clientele are 1.4 million students in this case. That's your ultimate clientele. That's a little different than most business operations. Mo understands that, and that's a really critical piece of knowledge for all of us. So after his service in 2023 to the Z. Smith Reynolds Foundation, I think Mo was under the foolish thought that he had retired in some way to perhaps write a book or some such other foolishness. And he served all of these roles with distinction, skill, and a well-developed sense of great judgment. That didn't go unnoticed, not surprisingly. So he was persuaded to run for state superintendent of public instruction. Thankfully. This is where I would say, forever quick, God had a different plan, and we're all grateful for it. Why is this an exciting day for the state of North Carolina? There's several reasons. Mo is an exceptional leader for our public schools who believes, yes, believes, in the promise of our public schools, a sound basic education for every student, for every student. Mo believes in the ability of our children to succeed. He believes in the ability of all of our children to succeed. Mo does not just believe in educators. You will hear him say often, he reveres them. His mother was a teacher, and her example resonates with Mo in everything that he does. Governor Cooper used to often say, somewhat kiddingly, somewhat seriously, that his mother was the greatest teacher in North Carolina. And why wouldn't he say that? And Mo's all right with that because his mother was the greatest teacher in Georgia. He will support our educators and our classified employees because they have the most important jobs in our state, the nurturing and education of our future. That is our children. Mo's background has allowed him to develop exceptional management and people skills, both internal to any organization in which he has been involved, and just as importantly, external to every organization in which he's been involved. And those skills will be very much needed in this new role, but we can all have comfort. Mo has those skills. The ability to manage the day-to-day administration of a large educational organization is extremely demanding and quite unique in the skill set required. Yet Mo brings the tools and the experience to do it and to do it well. Mo is a man of the highest character, integrity, and ethics. I cannot emphasize that enough. I do not know anyone with higher standards. There are people who may be equal, but there are no one with higher standards. These are the very traits we thirst for in our public officials. It's what we want, and he brings them to us, and we're grateful for that love. He listens carefully. He will strongly and determinedly advance the interests of our schools and advocate for them. But he'll do so in a professional manner and with respect for all that he deals with. And that respect component is important. In doing this, he will advance the interests of our children. Because at the end of the day, the only question one has to ask is, for any issue that has to do with schools and our children, is what is in the best interest of our children. Not what is in the best interest of the adults in the room, or the best interest of adults who may have an interest. What's in the best interest of our children? Mo very much understands this. There's much I could say here, but we're really here to have Mo talk to us and speak with us. So I'm going to end on this point, because I do think it's an important one. Many of us feel urgently that there's a moral obligation that we should all have to support our children in our schools. We all know, to those who have the least, we owe the most. But do we live that life? Searchingly, do we live that life? Do we ask that question? And one of the ways we can ask that question is, how do we look at our budgets? A budget is a statement of priorities. We try to order those things that are the most important, put those in the proper order. And while we searchingly think about what's in the best interest of children, I want us to searchingly think about what's in the best priority order for our children. How do we state our priority order, and where do we put our children in that scale? There's some people who don't believe to the same degree that that other people believe in, the moral obligation, in fact, the moral imperative that we should put our children first and that we should focus on properly funding, properly supporting our schools. Those are not bad people. They're people who just have different priorities. Many are focused on concerns about the economic development of our state, and that's appropriate. But there's ways that we can come together here. And the ways that we can come together is, if you support the economic development of our state, then you need to support public education just as fervently as those who believe there's a moral imperative. Because our future generations of workforce will be coming from our schools. We cannot succeed either with our schools or through economic development if we don't marry those two things and become a force, a strong force of one. Mo Green knows this. Mo Green understands this. He knows this dynamic. And that's the type of leadership that he will provide and that we desperately need in this state in a way that's done calmly, professionally, with the facts, with a high standard of ethics to make our state both educationally first and as a result economically all that it can be. And I am so thrilled that you will soon, in a few moments, be in this role. And thank you for the blessing of being able to speak today. Say many things that I believe. Thank you.
Good morning! Happy New Year! New year, new superintendent, new shoes. Yes. Did y'all get a lot of new things this past week? Yes? It's all new. There's something special about new, right? It's exciting. It's great possibilities. There's a few fears. There's opportunities. There's legacy that comes with things that are new. This building used to be new, right? 15 years ago. New things bring legacy, which is really exciting. And that's what we're celebrating today. I know a lot about new. I used to be the new kid all the time. I had 4 different schools in 5 years in High Point. 4 schools in 5 years. Each move was a marker of a struggle for our family to make it financially and our family struggling through divorce. And I learned a lot about hope and hardship in those new times. And even though I was always new to a school, there were some things that were always consistent, okay? Number 1, I had amazing teachers who cared greatly about me. Number 2, music class was awesome in every school. Number 3, every school's art room smells like tempera paint. I cannot explain that, but it's true, they all smell the same. And every year at every school, there was a holiday canned food drive. Every year. I was 8 years old in 3rd grade, and I watched my classmates lug in these bags of donations of canned goods, and my stomach was in knots. I knew I couldn't bring in any food, and I also knew where that food was probably going. It was coming to families like mine. One morning, fighting back tears, I walked up to my teacher and I apologized because I couldn't contribute. I couldn't take food from my spares pantry just so we could win a popcorn party. Like, I couldn't do that, you know? And I still kind of felt like I was letting everybody down. And she looked at me and she said, Leah, you're not letting anybody down. She turned my shame into purpose. She said, Leah, you're so good at math. Leah, you are so good at math. Will you tally all of our cans for me? Will you help me with that? She turned my shame into purpose. And so while I was sitting there tallying, which by the way, I still love tallying to this day, thanks to this great teacher. While I was tallying these cans, a kid comes in. His name was Sam. Sam was great. He comes in with the most culinary, delicious delicacy that anybody could ever have in the world. 2 boxes of powdered mashed potatoes. There is nothing better. Okay, they're still slap, I'm not gonna lie to you. And I couldn't help myself, I said out loud, oh, I hope I get those mashed potatoes. It's kind of funny, but the day that the drive was over, my mom was picking us up from school so she could pick up our boxes, and my teacher pulled me aside and she said, "Hey, Leah, thank you for your tallying work. I made sure you got those mashed potatoes." She heard my whispered dream, this tiny little oh, those mashed potatoes. I know it sounds so small, but that moment taught me this huge feeling, this power that educators have, right? They take dreams and they turn them into realities, even if they're tiny, even if it's about food that some people argue is not good. And it's one of the reasons why I wanted to be a teacher. Years later, I was new again. I was a new teacher in Guilford County Schools, and I had a new superintendent, and his name was Maurice. And something about having Superintendent Green as your superintendent was he sent out the most heartfelt emails. You did. You sent out lovely emails, and I actually looked through a bunch of them, and I will be quoting them today. So look out. They were always encouraging. You always made us feel like our work was the most important work. And one email that you shared really hit to this mashed potato story so perfectly. You said, "It's remarkable to know that our students' dreams become your dreams. As educators and support staff, you work your hardest to turn these dreams into reality." Those words hit me so deeply because I've lived both sides of that as a student whose teachers had turned my dreams, multiple dreams, into reality, but also as a teacher struggling to help find out what the dreams are and how can I make them come true for my precious high school students. Superintendent Green, he understood then, and I know he does now, that education and the public school experience is more about the lessons that we learn about math and English and science. It's about building humanity. It's about building character. It's about building people. Oftentimes people ask me what I teach. And people will say, "Oh, I was a high school teacher." I taught people. I taught kids how to become people. And Superintendent Green completely understands that. He recognized that everyone in the school, not just the teachers, but all the staff, custodians, school nutrition professionals, our bus drivers, we are all working towards our students' dreams. In his words, he said that we serve as wonderful role models, not just for our students, but for our community as well. He thanked us. He said, "You are standing up for our young people and for our public schools." He understands that advocacy for education is advocacy for students' dreams. And that's what this new role is all about for him. This is his opportunity to advocate for the dreams of the 1.5 million public school students in North Carolina, that each carries their own whispered dreams, just like I did very recently when I was in elementary school. Statistically, that little girl who was counting canned goods probably wasn't supposed to become the North Carolina Teacher of the Year in 2022, but she did. Because public school educators saw past my empty belly and my dirty clothes, and they saw my potential. But my story isn't super unique. It's multiplied in classrooms across our state where students full of promise need excellent educators to help them actualize their dreams. And Maurice Green not only understood this, he championed it when he was in Guilford County Schools. He sent this email. He says, "We have more successes than challenges. We should celebrate our great successes because we have so many of them." He acknowledged that transformative power of educators who go beyond circumstances to potential. He knew then that when a bus driver notices a student with an empty backpack, or a cafeteria worker notices a student who might be hungry, or when a teacher hears a whispered wish, those moments matter. Every time an educator sees past those circumstances to recognize potential, they make their dream their own. And then we create another new story of possibility. And you live that truth as our superintendent. So one year, as a new school year, the school year was starting, and you sent this email. You said, "As we focus again on new possibilities, let's stay true to our vision of excellence of academics and character in all that we do. Thanks to each of you, we have more successes than challenges. So let the first day of school and celebrations begin. The possibilities are truly limitless." Superintendent Green, to you today, I say to you, the possibilities are truly limitless. Today is that new day. But doing that requires more than words. It requires commitment, leadership, and a sacred trust. And that trust is why we're here today. We're here to do a tradition that dates back to 1889, when Governor Daniel Fowle first signed the oath book. Okay, are y'all ready for a history lesson? I have no idea. This is so good, okay? So, for the last literally 136 years, there is a handwritten book in North Carolina where every member of the council of state signs their oath with their pen, not even a computer, okay? And literally, someone from the Secretary of State's office is here in this room. I shook his hand, he's very cool, with the handwritten oath. And we're going to sign our new superintendent into history today. A history of 140 years of people who have committed their lives to public service. Today, your name is being written in history of North Carolina. It's very exciting. It's particularly meaningful, too, that this oath will be administered by Senior United States District Court Judge, the Honorable N. Carlton Tilley Jr. Judge Tilley's dedication to public service mirrors the commitment we see in education. After graduating from Wake Forest University and its School of Law, he served as an assistant United States attorney and then as the United States attorney for the Middle District of North Carolina. In 1988, President Ronald Reagan nominated him to the seat on the United States District Court for the Middle District of North Carolina, where he would later serve as the chief judge, from 1999 to 2006. He assumed senior status on December 16, 2008, and the connection between Judge Tilley and Superintendent Green is deeper than that because, as Vice Chair Duncan stated, he was his clerk. Like, you worked for him, and you learned from his integrity and wisdom and dedication to public service. Today, these two paths of service, justice and education, converge together. And the Honorable Judge Tilley will administer 3 oaths. First, to uphold the Constitution of North Carolina and the United States, and then to execute the duties of this vital office to the best of his skill and ability. We have a new year. We have a new superintendent. Let this oath remind us that education, public education, is not just service, but a constitutional right and a sacred trust. And just like Superintendent Green said, by upholding this trust when he was our superintendent, he said, every student, every teacher, and every classroom deserves an equal opportunity for success. Today's oaths will seal that commitment and uphold that trust for every child in North Carolina, whether their dreams are screamed or spoken or unspoken. Today is the start of that. So now it is my honor to invite the Honorable Judge N. Carlton Tilley Jr. to administer the oath of office to our new State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Maurice.
I, Maurice Green, do solemnly swear
I, Maurice Green, do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of North Carolina,
of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as Superintendent of Public Instruction.
as Superintendent of Public Instruction.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I, Maurice Green, do solemnly and sincerely swear
I, Maurice Green, do solemnly and sincerely swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
that I will be faithful
that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers
and to the constitutional powers
and authorities
and authorities
which are
which are
or may be established
or which may be established
for the government thereof,
for the government thereof,
and that I will endeavor to support,
and that I will endeavor to support,
maintain, and defend
maintain, and defend
the Constitution of said state,
the Constitution of said state,
not inconsistent
not inconsistent
with the Constitution of the United States,
with the Constitution of the United States,
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I, Maurice Green,
I, Maurice Green,
do swear
do swear
that I will well and truly
that I will well and truly
execute the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Superintendent of Public Instruction
of Superintendent of Public Instruction
according to the best of my skill and ability,
according to the best of my skill and ability,
according to law,
according to law,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, and good morning. Our boundless appreciation of, our bold aspiration for, and our unwavering assurance to public education. First, our boundless appreciation. In 1983, I had the great good fortune of being the assistant editor of my public high school's yearbook, and the honor of being selected to be the editor-in-chief for the next edition of that 312-page annual publication. The yearbook advisor was Trudy Norris, a wonderful English teacher who would pour her soul into the publications of those yearbooks. She would spend countless hours, nights, weekends, leading, guiding, cajoling, and working alongside a group of high school students to produce those major publications. She wrote in my 1983 yearbook, Maurice, she did not call me Maurice, when you become president, and she meant of the United States, I want a high-paying job that requires little or no responsibility. Vice President, the first woman vice president, I like the sound of it. In the meantime, let's put out the best annual the United States of America has ever seen. With Larry and Bruce on our side, and they both are, who can stop us? Love you, Trudy Norris. I do not share what she wrote to put a spotlight on me, and whether we did indeed publish the best yearbook in the United States of America in 1984, or on the undeniable fact that I did not deliver on her becoming the first vice president. Rather, I share it as a simple yet magnificent example of the remarkable nature of what public school educators do for their students. For little compensation or recognition, they do three fundamental things. One, they give their students a grand vision of who they can become, even when they have no idea of their potential president of the United States. Two, they challenge them to do their best. Let's put out the best annual the country has ever seen. And three, they embrace them with the unconditional support and love as they teach them the skills and information to meet the challenge and realize the vision. Let's us, with others on our side, who can stop us, love you. At the very end of the 1984 publication, I had the chance to respond to what Ms. Norris wrote. As I wrote something entitled Editor's Note, spotlighting on the lady behind the show. I wrote, though this last page has been reserved as an editor's note page, I feel this book would not be complete without doing a feature on the woman who works behind the scenes of the yearbook. Each of you know her. She is none other than Trudy Norris, the advisor of the biggest operation on the school campus. The general school population knows her as always being energetic, very intelligent, and forever taking cigarette and coffee breaks. The annual staff that she has headed over the years knows her to be a demanding perfectionist, a grand organizer, and an extremely hard worker. In the past 3 years, I've grown to know her as an excellent teacher and fun-loving after deadlines are made. She is constantly concerned about making sure that my future blossoms into a success. And since this is her last publication, I, on behalf of the entire Southwest population, just want to say thank you, thanks, and well done. Love, Maurice Green. I share what I wrote 40 years ago as a testament to how I have always felt and continue to feel about Ms. Norris and about public school educators. So I stand before you this morning, thanks to the incredible campaign staff, volunteers, donors, and the voters, as North Carolina's Superintendent of Public Instruction. Is the Chief Administrator and Advocate for Public Schools in North Carolina. And so I feel compelled to use the platform that has been bestowed on me to say thanks to public school educators. I say thanks to Mrs. Norris and to the countless other educators, including my own cherished family members. Gwen Green, my late mother, who was a special education teacher in public schools in Georgia. The person to whom I dedicate my career in education, and the person who modeled the way I will be as State Superintendent of Public Instruction. Stephanie Green, my wonderful wife of 32 plus years, a former school psychologist in North Carolina Public Schools. Reggie Green, my incredible brother, a former public school and recently retired college math teacher in Georgia. And Eva Sue Bryan, my awesome mother-in-law, a retired public school teacher of more than 30 plus years in North Carolina. I also intend to use this platform to remind us that being a public school educator is a noble profession, one that must be revered. My appreciation for what public school educators have done, are currently doing, and will do is boundless. I thank you, I love you, I revere you. Will all current and former educators please stand for a round of applause? Our appreciation for you is boundless. We thank you. We love you. We revere you. Second then is our bold aspiration. In 1868, after the end of the Civil War in the United States, a convention was held in Raleigh, North Carolina, to put forward a new constitution for the state. The conveners included 13 African-American men who demanded that the Constitution include a provision for public education, the precursor to the current language in our state's Constitution. I contend that all of those folks, including those 13 African-American men, knew that in order for North Carolina and its people to thrive, economically, culturally, socially, North Carolinas must give their children the opportunity to receive a quality education. What a bold aspiration for a future they would not see. While their vision has been challenged and sometimes continues to be challenged by the scourge of racism, politicalization, inadequate funding, and using public money to fund alternatives to the constitutionally mandated general and uniform public school system, I believe that their incredibly bold aspiration for a public school system that seeks to educate all school-age children in North Carolina remains an appropriate goal. In an era marked by rapid and global change, we face the challenge of preparing students for an unknown and uncertain future, one where knowledge doubles every 2 years, and where today's kindergartners may pursue careers that have yet to be imagined. More importantly, as the guardians of our democratic society we have inherited, we hold the future of our community, our state and nation in trust for the next generation. Together, our teachers, support staff, administrators, school boards, students, parents, and community members must build on the sacrifices of those who have come before us. It is now our turn to secure a better future for the children and young people we serve. That does not mean that we simply do what we have been doing. It means that we must evolve with the times. It means that we must recognize that parents want choices in and outside of the public school system here in North Carolina. And that the public school system will need to adapt accordingly to be sure that parents feel comfortable that they have made the right choice when they choose public schools. Which gets me then to my third point, our unwavering assurance. My vision for North Carolina's public schools is to be the best system in the country to achieve educational excellence. In a world where citizenship can extend beyond traditional geographic boundaries of nation and state, and where technology exponentially increases our ability to achieve great good or great harm. It is not enough for our students to be smart. As the leaders of tomorrow, they must become ethically grounded also. This reality forms my vision for North Carolina's public schools, which must be to nurture students to excel academically while developing strong moral character. I recognize that helping our students take advantage of all the world has to offer requires us to provide the best academic opportunities possible. To thrive in a future characterized by change, learning must become their chief endeavor and our state's top priority. So not surprising, the pursuit of academic excellence for all students is a hallmark of this vision. I also believe that strength of character, combined with the keen analytical skills of a finely tuned mind, can overcome any obstacles and create a limitless future. With Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I believe that, quote, intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. As a result, then, character development of our students is a critical component of this vision. This is a vision that started and was articulated the first time when I was superintendent of Guilford County Schools. And it's a vision that I believe all North Carolina ought to embrace. Educational excellence, then, is the successful coupling of academic achievement and character development. It will only come when each of us puts aside our self-interest and focuses on the common good. United, we can ensure that every child has what they need to succeed academically and in life. I will spend the next several months listening to others and crafting with others a plan that will be designed to turn this vision into a reality. The plan will be focused on 6 main pillars. Certainly investing fully in public education, revering our educators, preparing students for whatever is next for each and every one of them, enhancing parental and community engagement, ensuring safe and secure learning environments, and celebrating the good in public education. Working together, we can show our young people that we achieve excellence, decision by decision, action by action, day by day, moment by moment. As Aristotle noted more than 2,000 years ago, quote, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but an habit, end quote. If we commit to excellence, our children and young people, all with the capacity to be great, will respond in kind. If we expect excellence, they will achieve it. If excellence is the only acceptable option, they will embrace it. For children live what they know. The students here at Haynes Inman are a testament to this statement. Here you have a school with approximately 140 students ranging in age from preschool to age 22 with severe and profound cognitive and or physical disabilities, being recognized as the only North Carolina school of character in 2024. So then for the rest of us, the only question is whether we, as students, parents, educators, government officials, be it federal, state, or local, community leaders and members, will make excellence a habit in North Carolina's public schools. As I hasten to conclude, I need to thank God for this amazing blessing. I must thank my incredible staff, all the volunteers, donors, and the voters. I thank all who planned and have participated in this program. What a privilege it is to have students perform. How incredible it is to have people I have worked with and admired immensely be a part of this program. What a special moment it was to have the judge I clerked for and admired administer my oath of office. Thanks to all who have come to this event or sent their well wishes. Thanks to all who have come before me, including Superintendent Catherine Truitt and those before her. Thanks to Nora Carter, who was my partner in this work, who I believe would want me to be sure you knew that she did things for all of us to get to the places we are at now. I appreciate it. And when it came time to pick a place to have this ceremony, I knew there was only one place to do it. It's right here. Because through Nora, I got to meet Kevin, and I got the wonderful honor of recommending to our Board of Education that Kevin be the principal of this school. It was through Nora that she would say, every time that I would think about doing things my way, she would say, remember your mother. She was a special education teacher. How would she do? And so while she's no longer on this earth with us, she is with us every step of the way.
Yes.
I need to then thank Stephanie, my brilliant and beautiful wife, for being my partner and for agreeing to share her birthday, only the most celebrated day throughout the world, with this occasion. Happy birthday. I need to thank my family who is here and those who could not be, including, as she would say, my favorite firstborn, my daughter, Brianna. please know that I love each and every one of you. I am beyond honored to be North Carolina's Superintendent of Public Instruction. I am also incredibly humbled to be the state's first African-American Superintendent of Public Instruction. And yet I must confess that I believe deep in my soul that this is not about me. It is about all of us. And most importantly, it's about North Carolina's children, now and into the future, who will be educated in our public schools. Throughout the campaign for this position, I asked people, regardless of political affiliation, geographic location, race, age, etc., to declare not that they are supporting me. I didn't ask that. I asked that they declare that they are champions of public education. They did so, often shouting at the top of their lungs. With that declaration comes boundless appreciation of, bold aspiration for, and the unwavering assurance to public education. With that declaration comes a responsibility for all of us to do our part to support our precious public school system, to advocate on its behalf, to help it improve, to celebrate its goodness. To that end, I leave you with a poem that's written by Dr. Misty Williams. My incredible, gifted, and incomparable campaign manager and a longtime educator. Her poem, which was written for this occasion, should serve as a guidepost for all who are champions of public education in North Carolina. It is entitled, The Promise. As an aside before I get to it, in true educator mode, I had to recite the poem to Dr. Misty Williams. So I'm doing the best I can. The promise. The promise for our children, their birthright of potential recognized. The hope of education justified at their birth. The promise, read more, know more, learn more, they will be more, give more to the universe that owes all its children on this earth at their birth. Boundless appreciation of the promise, sometimes neglected, lately abandoned, but always in the back of their minds, they look to us. They know what they were born for, the promise of more. The promise, the glimmer of bold aspiration in the youngest eyes, flickering in the purest hearts. We pledge to expand those curiosities to passion, beyond the glimmer, to be more, to give more. The promise, unwavering assurance for all. A chance, a choice, a light. It is their birthright. It is our due. At the birth, we promised. Thank you, and be blessed.
I'm feeling very humbled to be following our new State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Maurice Green, and those incredible remarks. I grew up in North Carolina, and I'm now raising my daughters in Durham, where my oldest is a kindergartner and at a Title I public school. Our family believes deeply in the power of a connected community where we take care of each other. And from that, we believe deeply that going to our local public school with our neighbors is one of the most important places where we forge those connections and strengthen our community. I've had the privilege of knowing Mo Green since he was superintendent in Guilford. During that time, when I was still early in my journey as a public school advocate, I had the opportunity to watch him lead from his conviction that every student deserves a great school and that all students benefit from going to public schools together. I have always been struck by Mo's humble and kind leadership and his unwavering commitment to ensuring that every student has access to the great public schools that they deserve. This past summer, as people were beginning to understand the stakes and the campaign for state superintendent, a few of my neighbors and friends across the state were talking about what we could do to help raise visibility of this critical race. We wanted more people to focus on not only what we were voting against, but also what we had a chance to vote for. We wanted people talking about why we should be full of hope and energy around the opportunities that Mo's leadership would bring for the students and educators and families who make up our public schools across North Carolina. So we launched Moms for Mo as a grassroots, all-volunteer organizing effort coordinated by moms across North Carolina to support electing Mo Green Superintendent of Public Instruction. Our premise for Moms for Mo was simple. It was all about creating spaces, online and in person, for neighbors to connect with each other and create joyful community that was rooted in their shared commitment to preserving and strengthening North Carolina's public schools by electing Mo. We especially wanted to create ways for families and their young kids to feel empowered to take action in this race that was so important to them. Our core events were Mo Green sign-making parties. At parks and community spaces, kids gathered alongside neighbors to paint their own messages of support for Mo Green's campaign. Colorful hand-painted signs with rainbows and handprints alongside messages like Kids for Mo and We Trust Mo Green for our schools began popping up in neighborhoods and street corners. One person who came to a sign-making event told me that their neighbor, who consistently votes for Republican candidates, stopped to ask them about their kids' hand-painted yard sign for Mo. This opened a window for them to share why this race mattered to them and why they supported Mo. And that conversation swayed their neighbor to make Mo the one Democrat they would vote for in November. Every vote counts, but more importantly, every connection with a neighbor counts. Every relationship strengthened in community expands all of our capacity to take care of each other. For me, these events and seeing these joyful, colorful signs showing support for our public schools across my town were a bright spot in what could at times be a dark campaign season. I hold on to them as a reminder of all of the people across our state who know that their local public school is the beating heart of their community and who want to joyfully find ways to be connected to them. In November, across our state, people sent a clear message with our votes. Our public schools matter. We must invest in them, and we deserve leaders who believe in them. Most importantly, we deserve a leader who keeps students at the heart of every decision they make. We don't always get the leaders we deserve, but when we elected Mo Green, we did. Now is all of our responsibility to work for the public schools that our kids deserve and that our communities need. Just like campaigns are not won or lost by the candidates alone, but rather take thousands of people coming together in shared vision and purpose, the work ahead for protecting and strengthening our public schools does not rest on Superintendent Green's shoulders alone. His leadership gives us an incredible opportunity to pour into our public schools at a critical moment for education in North Carolina. Countless people worked to ensure that our students and educators have the state superintendent they deserve. And now our work continues. Now, under Superintendent Green's leadership, is the moment for all of us to find ways to pour into our neighborhood public school. Because our local public school is where we connect with our neighbors, where we form meaningful bonds, where we understand each other's needs and gifts and how we can be stronger together. And together, we can and we will realize the promise of public schools that deliver for all of North Carolina's students.
Thank you to everybody for joining us today. Thank you, Haynes, Inman, and our dear partners at Guilford County Schools for hosting us. In a moment, we'll spend some time in reception to receive our new superintendent. This is indeed a very special day for a very special person.